Welcome to another episode of the School Podcast. This is a new addition to what we are offering here at the School Podcast. This is going to be called Sunday School. The reason why I want to do this ultimately is because I get quite a lot of phone calls or emails from head teachers, CEOs, about me coming in and talking about the work that we do in schools, the impact that we deliver, and if there's anything that I can kind of share which would help educators within the UK and across the world. So I thought this would be a great way I could add a little bit of value instead of just interviewing other guests. So the demand has been high for it, so I thought I'd give you a lot of content pretty much for free, and hopefully it helps. As most of you know, my story, I kind of started off as, a motivational speaker about 12 to 13 years ago. And since then, I've worked with over 1 million teenagers. However, like me, when you hear the term motivational speaker, most of us kind of just roll our eyes and we throw up in our mouths just a little bit. It's pretty fickle because we've all been motivated for 5 to 10 minutes, and then something goes, the motivation's gone, and we're back to square one. So for me, one thing that I've done over the last 12 to 13 years is really deep dive into what is motivation and how do we really get students from A to B. And I've developed a whole kind of program around that where I also work with parents, etc. But of course, it wasn't always like that, because the big question that we need to ask when we just book somebody for a one-off talk, and there's still a time and a place for that, there is. So I'm not just saying you shouldn't ever book a speaker, because probably 10% of my work is still delivering one-off stuff. And I feel like if I back myself, nobody still does it better in a way. But I back myself, I'm competitive when it comes to that. However, the big question that we need to ask is really, what is the impact? The way I used to measure impact, though, was when I get messages on social media from teachers, from students, pretty much saying how amazing my session was. And I'd screenshot it, pass it on to the school, and I would probably use it, I used it as my sales pitch to get into other schools, because these messages were unbelievable, and it really was great for the ego. However, then I started doing a huge amount of miles and talking a lot, doing about 1,000 miles in a week in my car. And I'm still kind of doing that now, but with a bit of a different mission. But one day I drove all the way up to Skegness, about 5.5 hours from my house. And yes, I got paid good money, but I delivered a 30-minute session. And I did the session, jumped straight back in my car, and I had a bit of a weird moment thinking, have I just delivered a session or not? I don't really know. I couldn't really work it out because it was just all a blur. And I sat there and I really questioned then, what was the impact of that 30-minute session? If I'm truthful, if I'm honest, if I really criticized my work to get better, what was the impact? Yes, everyone liked it. Or maybe not everyone did, I don't know. But it was engaging. People had a good time. However, what is the impact? So I kind of went on this mission then to feel and work out what is impact. How can you measure? What does the data look like? How can I really build something which has an impact, and I know it has an impact on people and students who engage in my programs? I was on this mission, but I wasn't quite there yet until late on a Saturday night. I had a text message. And this is the bit what kind of tipped me over the edge. But I had a text message from a deputy head teacher of a college who sent me this text message. She said, "Do you remember the 2 lads who were talking through your thing you did for our failing students launching mentor scheme?" She said those students are both in prison, went and killed a lad. One convicted for murder and the other on lesser charges. Ignoring the message is as powerful as listening for these kids. I'll say that last bit again. Ignoring the message is as powerful as listening for these kids. So what's the impact? And we can talk about expectations, my behavior policy, and how I can manage, or what I do to manage behavior. But then I did start to question, did I kick these students out too soon? Why didn't I follow up with them? It was a one-off session, but could I have put more intervention in place? And yes, it's not solely my responsibility. And as educators, many of us have experienced something similar. But then I went on this mission to really work out what impact looked like. What is impact? How can I achieve impact, positive impact? And that's really where we built the Power Program. And yes, the Power Program is mainly focused working on pupil premium students, closing the attainment gap, right? But the reason why I say that is the Power Program now is well established. We're in many schools. We even have other speakers and coaches delivering the Power Program. For me, it's something I'm truly proud of because I believe I went on a journey. And it wasn't just what I thought or what we needed. It was a journey where we listened, we collected data, we still do. We see what everybody needed. And now our Power Program really serves so many young people across the UK. So sometimes I just want to throw this idea out there. And I think we lose the idea of how much impact do we really have? What does impact really look like? What does those expectations look like? How can we achieve high expectations? Yes, you can't have high expectations without truly knowing what low expectations look like. And we'll get on that on another podcast. But for me, the goal is always impact. And do not ever forget the impact that you truly have. But also, life is about progress. Life is about moving forward. It's about growing, not just in our profession as educators, but also individually, at home, husbands, wives, parent, relationship, whatever it is. Our goal is to always improve, and we should always be striving to see what that looks like. Because just because something worked before, and my motivational speaking on paper looked like it worked before, I just couldn't rest there because I knew there was something more. I knew there was room for growth. I knew there was room for development. And I think if we truly care about young people, and we truly want to impact young people, it's in our mission. And it should be our job to constantly look or try and reflect and see what progress really looks like. Create a plan and then go after it. I'm not truly there. I don't know where you're currently at. I don't know what your school or trust put into place, but understand that your job is extremely important, but also your progression is only going to help more people. So yeah, I hope that kind of helps. I'm still on this mission to work out what impact actually looks like, and I feel like we're doing a great job of it, but I challenge you to think the same as well. That's the first episode of Sunday School, the school podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I did, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.